Oscar's Childhood, episode 15. Welcome, Carrots here. I hope you have been enjoying the previous episodes of Oscar's Childhood. Today we are going to work on more of Oscar's time at the boarding school at Chocolate Cake Island. Meet Reardon Mithralin. He is a sim who I grabbed from Dragon Valley, but he doesn't live there anymore because I took all of the sims out of Dragon Valley and put them in other worlds. And the world he's in now is called Norbrowitch. Well, that's his home world. He's actually in Chocolate Cake Island now at the boarding school. And looking at his simology, he has just aged up from child to teen, but he hasn't been at the boarding school before, so he doesn't have any of his childhood or toddler skills. His traits are no sense of humour, insane, perfectionist and friendly. His lifetime wish is star news anchor. And he's been getting lots of opportunities. And the opportunity he keeps getting repeatedly is the one to assist police with your psychic abilities. Now, I have very bad memories of that particular opportunity. You get to a certain point when you have done everything that you have to do to achieve it. You get the music for achieving it, and it just plays constantly because you never get credited with having achieved it. All you get is the music playing over and over and over and over and over. So then you have to cancel the opportunity, save your game, exit from the game and get back in again. That's the only way to get rid of the music. So I kept on cancelling that opportunity. And then he got another opportunity, and the opportunity he got next, the case of Gnome Footsie. Well, I assumed that this was another opportunity, different from the one I keep on refusing, so I thought, well, it can take up the space in his opportunities list, and I let him accept it. I've never seen it before, don't have a clue where it came from. And the text of the opportunity is, it's often said that you shouldn't keep a garden gnome if you have soft-toed shoes. The things are so kickable. Unfortunately, Theodore Vines wants me to track down who is kicking a gnome. Theodore Vines' gnome. I should ask Theodore Vines who would do such a thing. Then I promptly ignored the opportunity and got on with playing the game. Reardon was going to school with the rest of the Sims and doing all sorts of interesting activities of his own volition, such as playing with the spell book that's up in the top story of this 5-level building. And then I caught him playing with the gumball machine. I haven't done anything with this for a few episodes. Actually, I probably haven't done anything with this at all in the Oscar's Childhood stories. It was standing there empty. Earlier I got Erica Wolf to fill it, and nobody got any gumballs out of it until I noticed Reardon was over at the machine, and I thought, I'll just film this, it might be interesting. And it was. He actually got the first gumball and paid for it, and he must have liked it because then he looked around to make sure nobody else was watching. And then he kicked the machine and all of the gumballs came falling out of it, and he collected them all up. And then the machine broke. So I thought, you broke it, you fix it. It would also help his handiness skill, because being so young and not having done the previous toddler or child skills, he needed to develop a few skills, and he's getting a bit of handiness as he repairs the machine. There he's just got his first handiness point. Machine is successfully repaired, and he's one happy little sim who still has a passion for gumballs. Remember, he has the insane trait, and he's hoping for more gumballs. Now he's got one. Maybe he'd like to start making some potions on one of the chemistry tables up in the top level. Another one. There always seems to be a red one. We kicked it again. So that's it, he's had enough of the gumball machine. Later on, I got him to try to complete the opportunity to go and have a chat with Theodore Vines. I tried it a few times, but he never ever went to meet up with this Theodore Vines. This time I forced him to do it. I watched him until he got there. And as a result of his meeting with Theodore, he got another part to the case. And this one says, Theodore Vine is fairly convinced the next door neighbour, Rufus Hoe, is guilty of the gnome kicking. I should rummage through Rufus Hoe's garbage to see if I can find any evidence of wrongdoing. Maybe then Theodore Vines can bring the gnome out of hiding. Well, It was at this point that I got a little suspicious, and I went and had a look at Riordan's career, and I discovered that apart from being a teenager at school, he's also in the investigator career. What really tipped me off was a part of what he's got to do next is rummage through garbage cans, and I thought that's not a normal sort of opportunity. So Riordan's an investigator. That should be interesting. Other thing is, of course, all of his opportunity slots are empty, so he can still be bombarded by random opportunities, which was a bit sad. Later that evening, Eric set out on his broom. He was looking for gems and metals. I think I'm going to get Eric to collect quite a lot to get his collecting skill up. Hopefully, if he ever needs to find any very precious gems or metals, he'll have more chance of doing it if he's done a lot of collecting already. And the more of these gems he gets, he will be able to practice cutting them on the gem cutting machine at the boarding school and get his gem cutting skill up as well. He can't stay out too late because we don't want him to get arrested by the police being out after curfew. Back at home, various little Sims are doing various activities. There's Wilhelmina Wolf painting a picture, and along the veranda a little bit further, it looks like Reardon Methreland's doing his homework, and that's Cricket Irwin painting a picture as well. There's a little singing gnome sitting on the table. They all get nice positive moodlet all the time. Last 24 hours while that gnome's in the house. There must have been a Sim in the singing career at some stage in this boarding school that they've got that gnome. It just stayed around. There's Coral Goldbeard's turned up. Not sure what she's going to do. Probably sit down and join them. Yeah, that was a good guess. She sat down. Looks like she's got homework to do as well. Now this stray alien just wanders past and nobody even notices. It's probably because I've got so many space rocks and telescopes in the building. The aliens often drop by at night. I used to think it was because they were checking up on the alien children that we had at boarding school, but there aren't any at the boarding school at the moment. We do have them occasionally, but there's none there today. The alien's having a little think with a blank thought bubble. Everybody else continues painting their pictures as if nothing's happened or doing their homework. The alien might as well not be there. Looks like he's decided he might as well not be there as well. Goodbye, alien. Better check where it's going, though. Upstairs. Up to the top level where we've got all the skilling instruments. There's quite a few space rocks on the floor upstairs here. So alien's going to examine something with his instrument. I hope it was a successful examination. Dinner. Space rocks for dinner, huh? Is he going to pinch our space rocks? I hope not. He knows where he can come if he needs some brain power. Alien's going to examine things down here too, again. Didn't examine here before. Maybe there was just too many Sims around. Here's Erica Wolf. She's going to ignore him completely as well. He's not invisible. I can see him. Oh, Cricket needs to go to the toilet quick. Hope she doesn't wee herself. She'll have to have a bath if she does. Let's hope this is goodbye, Mr. Alien. It looks like it might be. He's running off. Gonna hop into his space car and head off. Goodbye, he's gone. So Cricket's come downstairs to sit at the computer. See that archway there, just on her right? That goes down to the basement. That's where their basement entrance is. I had to put little steps down through the foundation so they'd be able to get down to the basement, because I've put the boarding school on a foundation, which wastes a whole level above ground. So Kathleen is telling a ghost story, and her little cousin Alison is sitting there listening, and everybody else is ignoring her. And Erica and Carly were having a chat. She hasn't got much of an audience, has she? Poor little thing. She doesn't seem to be very sad about it. End of story. Lights come on. Kathleen decided she wanted to do a stunt show upstairs on the roof on her little broom with training wheels. There she is, landing. Wilhelmina's downstairs playing computer game with, she's got a little gnome watching her. That TV breaks a fair bit, but it gives them a chance to learn their handiness skill by fixing it. Not that Wilhelmina could fix it, but the teens can, and the young adults who also need to learn things. Everybody who's at the boarding school learns things. So Kathleen's going to write herself a book. That smoke that's coming up there beside Kathleen, that is a incense burner from one of the World Adventures worlds. Obviously somebody from the boarding school's been on a world adventure at some stage and left that there. Lots of things get collected at the boarding school until eventually it gets so stuffed up full of everything that it won't work anymore. We've got to start selling things. Quite a gathering at the table tonight. It's Reardon on the right doing his homework, and Coral Goldbeard sitting there with her back to us. Erica Wolf. Carly has just fainted from boredom. Boredom was caused by her conversation with Faith. A few of them find the conversations with Faith quite boring. Cricket's a bit bored as well and has decided to go and take some silly photos of herself in the photo booth. I wonder what they look like. Oh, look at them. They're not that silly. She was trying, but not trying really hard to pull silly faces. Here we see the toddlers again. They're still working on their books. Just the last few of them have got a few books left to read. It looks like Benito's still learning to walk. He's got Carly teaching him this time. A lot of the toddlers are paired up in playpens, playing peekaboo to become best friends. It's nearly time to send them home. 3 toddlers and the 2 teens that need to go back to Barnacle Bay. He hasn't finished yet, Carly. He's got to keep learning. We want him to go home. But he goes home to Moonlit Falls. That's where he comes from. But little Alexander sitting there with the red shirt on and the long white trousers, he goes back to Barnacle Bay. He belongs to Odessa Cross. So that's little Alexander Cross. So that's it. Benito has now learnt to walk. Make sure he's completed all of his other skills and read all of his books, and he'll be able to go home to Moonlit Falls when we're ready to take him and his sister back there, because we've got little Fawn in a playpen. So everybody's off to school. Well, everybody but the toddlers. Somebody must have got a reward for getting up to level 10 in some skill. I don't know what else the mailman would be delivering. And this time we're going to see them arrive at school as well. Place the coffee house there opposite the school. When the bus drives them off at school is about the only time you're reasonably sure to see all of the children and teens together. And there's little Oscar bringing up the rear, except that Eric has stopped and Oscar's just following them all in. There's not very many of them really, compared to how many there could be in this household. But there's a lot, and there aren't many other children in the world because I got rid of everybody to try to solve the problems I was having with just being able to get into the world. But those problems seem to have been solved. All I have to do is keep away from the actual boarding school building, and of course that's not possible. Everybody's filing in one at a time. They will eventually all get in, so we will leave them there in their process of arriving at school. Whenever the school bus arrives, I have a habit of setting them all a task of talk to friends when they are travelling to school, and that way I can check if there's any opportunities for them to work on late homework, just in case they haven't completed their homework from the previous day. The main job in the nursery now for the young adults is to swap toddlers between playpens so they can all make best friends with each other. There's not many of the toddlers that are still completing reading their last few books or working on their toddler skills. If they're in a playpen, you can assume that they have done everything else. Little Susanna spends a lot of extra time in the playpen because she's been a toddler at the boarding school for a really long time. She'd completed all of her skills pretty much before any of these other toddlers arrived at the boarding school. She was here when Alison and Kathleen, who are now children, were learning their toddler skills, although she did arrive after they were here for a while. And she's going to age up soon. I'll give her a cake, probably the next episode, because I think she needs to become a child. She's Eric's little sister, and they both are going to stay here indefinitely until they've aged up to young adult, probably. We haven't seen Mena for a while, but here she is, all singed. She was working on something on the chemistry table. She's smoking, she's so singed. Now she's got to go and have a shower, get all the singe off her. She's got a desire to discover a potion or a particular potion or something, and she broke the bathroom, so she's going to have to fix that. Here's Oscar and Eric playing in the sand pit together. Eric seems to be very contemplative, while Oscar's just having a whale of a time tossing sand in the air. He's not even trying to make a sandcastle. We're going to send Mena off to join the angler career. The reason for that is the game put her into another career, which meant she had to go to work every day, and I never could see her around the boarding school, and I want her to gain skills, and I want her to look after some of the boarding school children and toddlers in particular. And the only way I can think of to do that easily is to give her a career that she can work on in her own time, and because she enjoys fishing so much, I've chosen the angler career for her. I wonder if they're actually considered to be making friends while they're doing different things together at the sand pit. I wonder if Eric's tired of being at boarding school yet. He's been there for a long time. He was there for a long time even before his little sister turned up. Eric has decided it's time to let little Susanna have a play on the spring rider. And Alison just got an opportunity for scavenger hunt. Precious materials. So she's going to have to go and find 3 gems and 3 pieces of metal. I like it when they get some of these opportunities because it makes me send them out to collect things, which increases their collection skills and also gives us a good supply of gemstones in particular that they can then use to practice their gem making skill with the gem cutting machine. It's good when they can cut any type of gem cut. And another benefit is they get to see where all of the gems and metals are, and I can use them to locate everything and send somebody else to go and collect them once the one with the opportunity has already completed their collection, or I have got too many in their queue. You can't actually tell them to go find any more, so I tell someone else to go get them. This was a surprise. A black unicorn turned up at their favourite fishing hole that was right close to the boarding school, so I had to go out there and get a little bit of a video of that. Wish it was a white unicorn though. You could see it better then. If you haven't noticed, I usually like to include a bit of video of unicorns and raccoons when I can get them. Back at the boarding school, little Wilhelmina has chosen the Witchen Spring Rider, or the Black Cat, to have a bit of fun. Because of its name, I usually associate that Spring Rider with witches, but Wilhelmina's a werewolf, and she's still enjoying it. The very next day, a raccoon was spotted running quickly through the world. As the sun went down the next evening, Erica Wolf was at the fishing hole, but this is a different fishing hole. This one's quite a large fishing hole, and it came with the world. And there she is, and it happens to be the night of the full moon, and she found herself transforming into a werewolf. But it didn't stop her from fishing, but now she looks a bit more ferocious than she did before, and her werewolf eyes are shining. Oh, she can howl too. What's she going to do? I thought she was going to keep fishing. Uh-oh. She is, but she wanted to come to the other side. Oh, look at her. Fell over. Poor Wilhelmina. And of course the surprise is that just down the other side of the waterhole, or just not far from where she is standing now, Mena is standing fishing as well. And Mena has taken absolutely no notice of Erica's transformation. Back at the boarding school, Wilhelmina has been transformed into her werewolf form as well. But little Gator still looks the same, although he is starting to shred things. He would have been put into the walker because he has completed everything he needs to do. He must be friends with all of the other 7 little toddlers, and things are getting very close to sending a few little toddlers and their teenage friends home to Barnacle Bay. Of course, Gator won't be going anywhere. He's staying here with his mother and sister. The toddlers in the playpen closest to us are Fawn Goodfellow on the left and Francesco Winterbottom on the right. They both were picked up from Moonlit Falls, but Fawn is a townie and Francesco is the child of a pair of my Sims, Carly and Bruce Winterbottom. Notice nobody's reading books anymore. They're all getting to know each other, so it's very close to going home to Barnacle Bay. The one in the red top is Serena Abe, and the purple top, the child, is Mara Nix. Serena is from Barnacle Bay and will be going home shortly. She's been at the boarding school for a long time now. And Mara Nix is a recent arrival at the boarding school, and she is from Moonlit Falls. It's still the night of the full moon and it's getting very late. There's Erica Wolf. She has transformed into a werewolf, into her werewolf form. She's always been a werewolf. And she's still fishing at the little fishing hole where she did her transformation. And there is Mena in the distance there. She's fishing too. And they've got all sorts of little firefly thingos floating around behind them, but they're not the sort that you can catch. They're just little floaty ones. Mena's in the fishing career now, and there's a couple of random townies over there having a very loud conversation with each other. Erica's got a lot to learn when it comes to fishing, so she's going to be doing a lot more of it. So is Mena, of course. Daylight finds Mena still fishing at the fishing hole, but I've decided it's time to take the toddlers and teens back to Barnacle Bay. And Mena's a good little sim, and she does what she's told, and she makes the call, even though the fish are still jumping in front of her. Fortunately, we've got 3 toddlers and 3 teens or older sims, so that each toddler has got somebody to carry them, because you need a teen or young adult or elder for each baby or toddler to be able to travel with them. So we've selected everybody, and we've chosen the correct world, Barnacle Bay, and all is going according to plan at this point. Be prepared for it all to go totally pear-shaped. This is where life gets really exciting. In the Sims world. I didn't plan any of this, it just happened. So Mena's in the taxi. She's arrived back at the boarding school. Now that was a surprise. I had been trying to organise all of the travellers, the toddlers and teens, to gather together near the letterbox. So as I'm watching the meteor come down and hit the boarding school, dead centre, I'm wondering how many Sims are going to still be alive, and how will I cope with little ghosts? Did anyone survive? There's fires on both sides of the street. 2 buildings got collected, the boarding school building as well as the garden. Well, there must be some toddlers still alive. I'm getting messages to stay or call a babysitter. So there must be at least 1 toddler surviving. Which one? Maybe they all survived. I see Oscar there as well, but he's running into the burning building. Very brave, but I immediately start having plans of how to resurrect a little Oscar ghost. Do I use ambrosia or some other way of getting him back? And the fire engines turned up, and then I went inside to have a look, and we've got a few toddlers there that are still surviving. I can see 4. There's plenty of objects that have turned into piles of scrap, and Erica Wolf was so concerned that she came rushing home, but only her head arrived. She can see her head bouncing around there behind Bruce, who's got the fire extinguisher, and the fireman is there as well. I think this must be the level where the children sleep. It's going to take a bit of turning up. All those cameras that I've put there because I took them extra out of the household inventory, and I was going to give them to Sims who missed out on having a camera. They all got wrecked. So we've got at least 2 singed Sims. Look, Oscar's still alive. That's wonderful. Reardon Mithralin, the blue one, he's all singed. And that could be little Alison, I think. There's Wilhelmina Wolf, and her mother Erica is still just a floating head. Bruce survived, but there's still fire around. Cricket Irwin came rushing down in her underwear. It must be her sleepwear, I think. What a mess. How am I ever going to get it back to how it was? It looks like everybody survived. That was a miracle. I only got 2 singed Sims. There's Mena standing there in the black, and Coral is just walking towards us now. There's a few little toddlers sitting on the floor. Lots of scrap to clean up. What do I do? Stay here, cope with the lag while we try to clean it all up? Or do we move our travellers onto Barnacle Bay and clean up when we get back? We'll have less Sims in the household, and therefore hopefully less lag. While I'm thinking about this, the firemen go home in taxis, and then I need to save this game at this point, so I move all of the travellers to a vacant lot well away from the disaster area, and where I can easily save the game without risking an error 12. And while we're there, Mena dials up the travel service, and they all head off safely to Barnacle Bay. And that is the end of the video. When we come to the next video, we will all be in Barnacle Bay, and you'll see the toddlers and the teens all being returned to their homes, and you'll even see inside some of their homes. So thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet and you think you'd like to make sure you don't miss any further episodes of any of my stories, then consider subscribing. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.